Morning. So we are talking today on this topic, the nature of worship, because this month, the whole entire month of October is very busy with so many different worship going on in our religious calendar. Just we finished this Navaratri, Durga Puja, Dasera, and now it is, one day from now, is called Lakshmi Puja, and then 15 days from there is that Diwali and Kali Puja. Puja means worship. This is the system of worship, many worships done throughout the year. That is there in traditional Hinduism. And then there are many different systems of worshipping God in all other traditions. There is not a single tradition or religious path which doesn't imbibe within its fold some kind of worshipping God, even when the God is believed to be formless and beyond everybody's reach. Even in those paths, there are some kind of a system of adoration and worship. So what is that nature of worship that we understand? We can talk only about what we understand. We cannot claim to know each and every details about all different paths. Though this is a major teaching of Sri Ramakrishna, that all the paths are qualified to reach the Supreme. And there is no such thing or restriction or limitation that this is the only way or this is the superior way and others are inferior, or others they are ignorant or they don't know, or there is a false God. These kind of things we don't never understand or accept because of the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna. He said that there are many different paths, many different ways to reach the same goal, the goal of reaching God. So it is about search for God that is considered as religion. All religious paths are about search for God. Why it is so? Why there should be a search for God? It is so because we are never satisfied. That is, we are never satisfied. A baby grows and becomes a young child, and then a youth, and then a person of a certain age, and grows into old person, and then dies one day, but never the person is satisfied. It always says that I have seen this, I have done that, but that is not enough for me, or I am not completely satisfied. I need so and so, such and such goal or target is, the goalpost keeps moving. Goalpost keeps moving in our life. We are never satisfied. And this dissatisfaction is the reason that there is a search for God. Until and unless we are really dissatisfied with our search for satisfaction or happiness, fulfillment in our life in this material world, the material world can give us material satisfaction which is reachable through our five senses and our mind. These are tangible objects, and they give some kind of satisfaction. And we keep searching happiness and satisfaction through these five senses and in this material world, in this created universe. When they are played out, and it takes a long time, unlike some other religious groups who say that this is only one life. Vedanta says, no, it is not one life, many births will come. You have been born before so many times, and afterwards also, who knows, unless you have perfected yourself in realizing the supreme truth, you have to come back again. And therefore there is a continuous and very lengthy chain of lives and experiences. And through these experiences, we keep asking for more and more and more. Because there is no end of this idea of satisfaction. We are not satisfied. We keep saying boring after some time. Like a teenager boy or a girl. The parent tries this and that and all sorts of things, but very quickly the child says, boring, I'm not going there. So our mind also is that teenager. It says it is boring, and at some point of time everything will be boring. This is explained in the Upanishad. You don't have to grow old by age. It is old by experience. And in the Upanishad, famous Upanishad of Katha Upanishad, the boy Nachiketa was a boy, 14, 15-year-old boy, but he was absolutely mature from inside, in his head. So when he was offered, don't ask this question of the supreme everything, Atman and all the things. What do you want? Take whatever you ask, I can give you. I am a very powerful official in this system of this creation. I am God, so and so, a deity, very powerful. Ask anything. Then Nachiketa's answer was, no, they are all boring. Whatever he was offered, take this, ask this. He said, boring. So when one can say it is boring, I really don't find anything here which will be considered by me as very exciting, then the search for God begins there. And the real religious life starts from there. A religious or a spiritual seeker is a genuine spiritual seeker from there. Until then, they are in the preliminary portion of their religious life. Most of the people who are in the religious life, who have some kind of a faith in God, or they regularly do some kind of religious practices, they also have got many interests in this material universe and many ideas about happiness and charm and joy and attraction in the world. They have got many different things in their head. They think that this is wonderful, that is charming, that is attractive, that is something I really want to achieve in my life, and everything belongs in this material universe. And so long as this kind of attraction remains, the idea of boring is not coming. And so long as we don't say it is boring, or this world is no more attractive, I really don't. It is not pessimistic idea. It is not pessimistic idea. I don't really enjoy this life, and therefore I am very depressed. What is happening with me? It is not like that. It is about asking more. It is about going further. It is seeking what is beyond. It is that. It is not pessimistic. It is super optimistic. It says that I somehow feel there is something better. There is something superior. There is something higher that will satisfy me. These are not what can do the job. It is intuitive. The search for God is intuitive. And that intuitive search is the genuine hunger in spiritual life. The spiritual hunger or the desire or longing for God is that intuitive search for God. When the soul believes that God does exist, just I don't know where and how to find Him. Is there anyone who could help me? That kind of a spiritual hunger, that intuitiveness is important. What kind of intuitiveness? Sri Ramakrishna was very powerful in giving examples, small examples. He says, just like a newborn calf could find the udder of its mother cow, where its thirst for milk will be satiated, and the calf will find out that. Who has taught this calf? A newborn calf will find the mother cow's udder and will start drinking milk from there. The soul also intuitively will one day or other will look for the Supreme Mother, the Divine Mother, God the Mother, the soul which is the baby calf. Even blindfold, it will go towards that direction. And that is the genuine spirituality. When that happens, then there is a one-on-one connection and deep connectedness. And that is called meditation. That is called meditation. But this meditation is not so easy and simple. This meditation that will end up in realizing that supreme truth of God, whether that God is within yourself that you have found out, or the God everywhere that you have found out, that is that connectedness one-on-one. The I-thou relationship with the Supreme, that when becomes successfully happened, then that is the powerful way of meditating. In the process, it could be very painful process because it is a search and it has not been found yet, this kind of a process. So continuous process and continuous struggle and this search in ignorance, it continues. There are a large number of people in the world who have come to this conclusion that this world or worldly things don't satisfy them. They are not happy in the world. They have gotten many different things and so-called successes in the world, but they are not satisfied and saturated or happy. But at the same time, they don't really know where they would find their happiness. what is the source of happiness, where, what. So they are searching, but they don't know what they are searching and how to reach there. If somebody could help them, if somebody could provide them a way or system, perhaps they'll be quickly on the track. This intermediate path to the reaching the final destination of absolute and proper connectedness or meditation, these intermediate paths are many. They are not just one, they are several, many different ways. As the God has been defined by those who are the supreme teachers of this world, the spiritual teachers of the world, whom we call the God incarnated in human form. They are the teachers in our spiritual life, the supreme teachers they are. And they have given us many different paths, different ways to reach there. And someone like Sri Ramakrishna has said that this is not the end of this story. There are many more possible. So there are many paths, many ways to reach that goal. But in Vedanta, all of these paths have been classified into 4 major groups, and they are called yoga. They are called yoga. Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Raja Yoga, and Karma Yoga. These are called yoga. These are the groups. Many different ways, but they might fall in this or that group or classified paths. For most of the people in the world, the bhakti, the path of devotion, that is very suitable. Nothing is easy. There is no such thing as easy and simple and 3-day retreat, and after that you get the certificate that you have gotten the knowledge of Brahman, self-realization. Here is your certificate, take home, put it on the wall that you have attended our group. You have done meditation successfully and now you are a knower or something. There is no such simple and easy and quick fix and time bound or anything there available according to Vedanta. Vedanta says no, that is not. Even the path of bhakti, the devotion which many call, this is the simplest. Okay, that is simplest means it is most suitable for you. That is the simplest. That means most people, they are fit for walking on this path. Other paths, are they very difficult? When we see the life stories of, read the stories of many other great saintly personalities, some of them, they went into the path of knowledge and very quickly entered into deep meditative life. So it appears that it was very easy for him. Why not me? Well, it was easy for him, may not be easy for you or somebody else. There are different people, their suitability, they are qualified differently because of the internal makeup, how they are made. Their samskaras, the impressions from many previous births and how they are created internally, the psychological body, the beyond what is not visible, that subtle body, causal body, other areas. So, different people, they may be suited differently. And the path of devotion, that becomes very suitable for a large number of people. So large number of people, they could therefore speed up their process of approaching to that goal, which is the source of all satisfaction and all happiness, or God. It is possible, and speeding up the process is what we know as the system of worshipping God. So worshipping God is a system of eventually being successful in doing meditation. Even in the devotional path, in the path of bhakti, meditation is there. Meditation is where they reach eventually. But from day one or from very starting point, if people will focus too much on meditation, this overemphasis on meditation, many different religious teachers or religious system or groups, they overemphasize on meditation. Meditation is something that is in the very famous book of Yoga Sutra. In the famous book, there is an 8-step way to reach there, and the last one is meditation. Before that, all the different steps and how you could just overlook them or just bypass them, you cannot. So you have to go through all of these steps, and then you reach the rooftop. So the staircases are important, and they must be followed properly, systematically. Then only you reach there. So the fastest way of reaching the rooftop is go through the staircase properly. Climb the staircase properly. Don't overestimate yourself that I can jump or fly. What you can, just do that. And this is therefore the system of worship is important. System of worship is therefore belonging to the path of devotion, which is a suitable path for most of the spiritual seekers. And this system of worshipping God actually will put you to the level where your meditation is spontaneous and it is absolutely successful. So it is the way to meditation. It is not about avoiding meditation or I don't believe in meditation. No. It is about your how to meditate, the procedure. So system of worship therefore is very, very important. The system of worship says that how I can block the noise and external obstructions and attractions. Meditation says that you only have got one object on which you are meditating. Everything else should just stay out. Sri Ramakrishna says that his monastic guru Totapuri said, how you know how to do the meditation? Come in, shut the doors and windows. Bolt them. That's it. This is called meditation. So his definition of meditation was, come inside the room and now shut all the doors and windows. Blinders. There are days there are no blinders. Otherwise you could have all the blinders. So close the doors, windows, everything means remove the external noise. Get rid of external attractions and distractions. Then your mind is all belonging to yourself and the entire mind, then you connect with the object of your meditation, and that is meditation. So how to get rid of the external noise? Then comes this question. What is the way to get rid of this external noise? And for a long, long time, gradually developed system, that is the system of worshipping God. So when we talk about worshipping God, in the system that we follow, in the way, in many different Vedantic traditions, and where the bhakti is the path, and they teach and they practice, there, this worship is not only ritualistic external worship. Worship includes internal also. So there is a portion of worshipping externally, ritualistically. And then there are other areas, they also belong to the overall system of worship. Like repetition of the holy name for a long period of time, called japa. This is a part of worship. Like singing many different kinds of prayers and hymns. Prayers is not necessarily about asking. When we use the word prayer, it means immediately that we are asking something. No, it is about hymns and praises of the Lord. This also is a part of the worship. And then there are service, help and service. Service in many different ways. The service to the Lord, who is enshrined and installed on the altar, and service everywhere. They could be the part of worship. So there is a systematic worship or ritualistic external way of worship. And there could be other forms of worship which is internalized when you are chanting the holy name. With each of those chanting, each time you are chanting the holy name, it could be uttered audibly when nobody is around, or it could be mentally chanted. Then you are connecting with that holy name, with that holy object, the deity, your chosen deity, the Ishtananda. And thereby you are sanctifying yourself, your personality, and you are creating an environment around you. You are spiritualizing the whole thing, yourself, and you are removing the external distractions and the so-called noise, because you are creating your noise, and that is more important now, when you are chanting the holy name. Similar is the case when you are singing the glory of the Lord, like we were singing in the beginning, Chaitanya's prayer. When we are singing the glory of the Lord. And in Vedantic systems, glory of the Lord doesn't necessarily be sang in a particular structured idea. Just you can chant the holy name, and to make it very interesting, the holiness could be called by many different names. So a god at least has got 108 names at least, may have more. So there is Lord Vishnu is chanted 1008 different names, and that just chanting those 1008 names, it is called Sahasranama, 1000 names, but it is more than 1008. So Vishnu Sahasranama, it takes time. Lord Vishnu has got 1008 names. Each name is a qualification of one particular wonderful glory of the Lord. The Supreme Lord is glorious this way, this way, this way, this way, that way. Many different ways His glories are remembered, reminded. When you are chanting the name 1008 times, some people they do it on a regular basis. Every morning they will do it. And before finishing that, in their shrine, they will not come for breakfast. What is that? This is a worship. This is a worship. Because they are connecting, they are creating the holy atmosphere. They are separating themselves, removing the external noise or worldly distractions. And therefore, this is a kind of worship. Worship need not be that you have to be seated on the asana and then offer this and that according to the rules. It is not that haphazardly you do it. There is a way to do it, and systematically it is learned and it is done, and that is worship. But that is not the only worship. This is what I would say. And then there are services. Many different ways you could serve the Lord. You could serve the Lord in the shrine, serve Him flowers, serve Him garlands, serve Him a plate of fruits in the system, and this is nothing other than service. You are just serving the Lord. Because Lord is real, and Lord is living, and Lord is there, and Lord is seated on that particular seat in front of you, and you have no doubt about it. So your strong faith must be there behind all these things that you are doing. And what you are doing, you are serving the Lord. And then you can come out from the shrine room and you can do the same thing all over again. Now you are serving the Lord everywhere. Your family members, your friends, your neighbors, other creatures, in the garden, everywhere, to the rest of the world. If it is not physically you are doing, mentally you can create the environment. Say that wherever people are living, let everyone be happy and peaceful. And you can keep serving. Whatever form of service is available to you. So all this together becomes a way, a very powerful way. And this is worship. This is the worship. There is a systematic and formal, ritualistic, which should be properly understood and be trained and explained to you, and then you do it accordingly, and that is very good and nice and powerful. Whatever you have been doing on a systematic way, on a regular way, always, day after day, without any failing, that has got a very, very high beneficial effect on you. Great benefit you reap from there. One is very quickly understandable because you are doing it on a regular basis and you never fail to do it, and therefore, without your knowing, after the end of a year or end of your 10 years of your life, you have done so much. If you are in a system and you are never deviating from the path and doing it every day, day after day, never fail. If you do it, then you have done so much. A good work done, the right work done, the correct thing done for a very long period of time is so powerfully helping you, behind you. Not only karma, it is about transforming your personality. in a very major way. And if you are not in a system, if you are not doing on a regular basis, if you are doing it haphazardly, whimsically, sometimes you are doing, sometimes not, sometimes for 2-3 days continuously doing and then you are forgetful about it, then it will not be that effective. Because it is not transforming your personality. You are not a changed person at the end of the whatever you are doing. And therefore, ritually performing the formal worship has got its own very, very high merits. This is very meritorious. But beyond that, there is other kind of worship, as I mentioned. They are mostly internal worship because it is not a formal way of doing many of them, and it is not that it is ritualistically or every day same thing you are doing on it at the same time. So it is not a ritualistic worship, and perhaps it is not a formal worship, but still they are worship and they are continuously transforming you in your personality. So this ultimately will develop in you all the different kinds of worship. Different kinds of worship ultimately develops in you a serviceful attitude towards the Lord. This is where you are going. When you are in the path of devotion and you are performing worship, then that will eventually transform your mindset into service to the Lord. This is how you gradually grow. Doing worship on a regular basis, whether formally or informally, whether externally or internally, it will make you a different person in the sense, first, that now you are always thinking of how you would serve the Lord. This is what is the difference in you, and this should end up in the feeling or your eagerness to offer everything that you have gotten to the Lord. You want to offer to the Lord. In the beginning of the worship system, it is the small thing that you are offering to the Lord. Flowers and incense sticks and fruits and something. But after a very long period of this practice, gradually you transform yourself that you are now trying to offer everything that you have gotten to the Lord. So, this should be the benefit, or this should be the end of this, or the fruits of this system of worshipping God. That you are trying to offer yourself to the Lord. This is the transformation in the personality, because as an ordinary human being, a person is selfish. There is no saying of that this overemphasizing on that particular point. Because there is nobody in this world who is not thinking about his or her own self. And all our actions, they are accordingly adjusted or calculated or modified or planned, because we live in the self-centered mindset. So we can call that everybody is a selfish person. Absolute unselfishness is almost not seen in the world. Why almost? It is never to be seen. Everybody thinks of himself or herself first and then everything else. And most of the life is spent in this selfish activity, thinking about one's own self and what kind of thing, action, talk or anything I should do that will benefit me or put me in a better position. This is the beginning. Spiritual life is all about how to get rid of the selfishness. Whether it is a path of yoga or jnana or bhakti or selfless service, karma, all the different yogas, they are only talking about that how we could reduce our selfishness bit by bit and become completely freed from this selfishness. All the yogas, they are only about that. When we would get rid of the selfishness, which is the other way of talking our attachment to our this physical self and our psychological self, subtle body. Our being very attached to them and calling ourselves this is me appears in the form of our selfish thinking and behavior. So, getting rid of the selfishness means how we could slowly detach ourselves from the things that we are really not, and thereby we return back to our real self, which is God with His all glory. So this method of worship is such that a person gradually starts thinking of giving himself up instead of asking his things of giving. So first, when a person goes as a devotee to a temple or a church or a mosque, he is praying and praying and praying. What is praying? Praying means I and thou connectedness, relationship. Thou is God. Any form. Where you are the giver and I am on the receiver's end. I am always asking, give me this, give me that. That is my prayer. Everybody goes to a temple and a child is being taught by the parent, now pray to the Lord. The child says that I don't feel like praying anything. I've got everything right now. What shall I pray for? But people think that this should be the relationship. The relationship with the God and I as a devotee is about I am in need of this or that thing, or I am in trouble, and God, you are the person who is supposed to be helping me all the time. This is the way people begin their devotional path, or the idea of worship is all that I am worshipping you with flower and incense and all this, and now please give me this. This should change. After a period of successful worship, as I mentioned, what is worship? After a period of successful worship, there is a different kind of connectedness develops, where it is not about asking what I can get from you, how I can benefit myself from my coming close to you, because I really don't care of you, but I care of this world, and I want all these things in this world. Could you help me here? This kind of mindset slowly will disappear, melt away. And there is a different kind of mindset developed in which I love you and I want to serve you. This is a different kind of mindset begins. This is the adoration of the Lord. The adoration of the Lord is about that I am here, I am okay, I can take care of myself, but I really am liking, loving you, and I want to do anything and everything to serve you. Tell me how I can serve you. What are the different ways that I could serve you? This is the idea of adoration. So this comes as a way of, when this happens, then it should be considered as the grace of God. Grace of God means that the love for God, the faith in God, and the strength in one's own self, the spiritual strength, all these things should grow. So long as there is no love for God, then a person remains greedy and selfish. And when there is a love for God, then the selfishness goes away. So the devotional path that helps a person to gradually start loving God. And that loving God is the grace of God. When people say, by grace of God, this trouble is removed, or I gotten this and that benefit in the world, that is not grace of God. That is your karma. You did some good work and you got the good benefit out of it. God doesn't care for you getting a raise in your job or you got that particular property at a lower price. It has got nothing to do with God's grace. Or somebody in your family was suffering from an illness and he got a very good medical result. God's grace doesn't unnecessarily happen in the billions and billions of people in different ways. A little bit of monetary benefit, a little bit of health benefit, a little bit of something. This is not God's grace. God's grace is when you can change internally and you have got a different level of happiness and pleasant feeling within you, that you are so satisfied that you don't care about the external problems and difficulties in your life. That is God's grace. That is God's grace. People are so easily excited about when they get something and totally depressed when they miss something or lose something, and they are always in a turmoil. That is the ordinary personality. And by God's grace, when your ship is stabilized in this ocean of the world in life, that is God's grace. That God's grace comes when you feel a different kind of strength within. You are a strong person and you have got a genuine faith in God and you start loving God in the path of bhakti. When that happens, then you say, well, I can take care of myself, tell me what I can do for you. And that service is genuine. That worship then is genuine. And this worship, as I mentioned, can be external world also, outside also. Worshipping God, as Swami Vivekananda has taught us, the message of Sri Ramakrishna, that God has appeared in all different forms, so why not worship there? If that appeals you and you like to do that, start worshipping God everywhere. A poor person, a hungry, an illiterate child, or somebody suffering from somewhere, and you could go and reach out and help another, and feel yourself deep within your heart that here I am serving God and worshipping God. That is your worship. And you can do it only when you feel yourself strong enough and satisfied enough from inside and you are capable to do out of love of God, then you can do it. This worship is therefore then is a special kind of relationship of I, thou, thou, the Lord, and I here. And is in this relationship, there is always therefore part of the worship is about sacrifice, which in the preliminary level of worship we are taught that sacrifice the flower, sacrifice the incense stick or a lamp or a candle, sacrifice the plate of fruits and sweets here, there, with this mantra. We are taught to do that as a system of worship. This eventually becomes a part of the worship of the Lord who is universal in nature. Sacrifice is one part. Unless and until a person has developed the spontaneity in sacrifice, instead of being selfish, becomes more unselfish, helping, reaching out, everybody, in the family, in the friend circle, everywhere. This is a number one idea in worship, sacrifice. Secondly, it is about adoration of Lord out of love and out of reverence for His immense glory. Gradually it starts revealing itself. This adoration part is an important factor in successful worship. Out of love and out of adoration for the Lord. Why adoration? Because He is glorious. This, it is intuitive in nature and it should happen to a person who is successfully walking. We find in the life stories of the great saints and sages that they really enjoyed their life in adoring the Lord and singing His glory, more than meditating on the Lord. Meditation happens spontaneously. When that adoration and this serviceful nature, it develops to a level of saturation, then the meditation happens. Meditation is like fusion, like merging, and it happens spontaneously. Meditation should not be a difficult maneuvering, which for most of the people, meditation is like, close your eyes, do this thing, and stop thinking, and why your mind is going like that. That meditation is a difficult exercise, but for a devotee who is successfully able to worship Lord by giving up his selfishness and becoming more unselfish, and thereby the grace of God reveals to himself about the glory of the divine everywhere, and he becomes more serviceful, and that is the adoration enters into a state of meditativeness. Then the worship provides a system where you surround yourself with holiness and sacredness. So in the system of our Vedantic culture, there is a systematic way of chanting this mantra, that mantra, and saying, oh, this has become holy, that is sacred now, this portion is holy, my body is holy. All, from the image to all the item and pots and pans and everything that are used for the worship and all the things that are there and all surrounding the entire place is uttered with mantra and saying, oh, this is sacred, this is holy, this is holy, this is holy. So one tries to surround oneself or remind oneself with holiness. So it is sacred, whole thing is sacred, and everything has become holy. And in this holy and sacred atmosphere, you merge yourself in that mindset. So it is a process of purification. It is a process of purification. The entire spiritual life is about purification. Purification of our mind and purification outside. This worship, the system of worship, this is a very powerful way of purifying yourself and purifying the whole surrounding. In the beginning, it gives you a systematic way of with the chanting and the process and the way how you do that. But in course of time, it makes you always feel like you are in the company of the supreme holiness and sacredness, and everything is pure and holy. It is God who has appeared in all different forms, and it is all pure. So this is a part of this worship system. And one important part of the worship system is following the system. Jumping horse from one to another is not the way. So it is about growing deeply into one tradition, because there are many different traditions and different ways of worshipping the divine. Worshipping, but there are different traditions. One should follow just one particular path and grow and become deeper rooted into that path. Then only one will enjoy. Then only one will have the success about developing this, all the benefit of this system of worship. So, when one can do that successfully, then one will feel at the end of the worship, even if it is a systematic, traditional, ritualistic worship, a sense of achievement and sense of accomplishment after the end of the worship. And this will lead to an inner connectedness, and that will be helpful for meditation. So meditation will become spontaneous and deep if a person is successful in doing worship. Thank you.